And I think it's very important for everybody to be engaged because that everybody's on the same page.
It's about, who's willing to change gears at the right time.
Go out, go have fun, and just take it to them.
For Wheeling University Athletics, I'm Zach Ziegler. It's time for another edition of the Gage Bradshaw Show. Currently joined by Wheeling University head men's lacrosse coach Gage Bradshaw. And Gage, your GMAC schedule fully underway this past week. You get a nice win against Thomas More on Saturday, battled with Seton Hill on Monday. Talk about the week overall and what you saw.
Yeah, I think I saw a team that plays hard no matter the opponent, right? I think our guys are very bought into each other. They want to be around each other. They want to play for each other. It's a very tight-knit family. And I think to have that, man, that's usually like 90% of the battle, right? I think our job now as coaches is just worried about the skill and the scout and the IQ, and I think that makes our job easy. And so going into Thomas More, going into Seton Hill, it was awesome to see, regardless of result, what we did out there, how we played. So I think it's just trying to build off that and obviously work towards our next game.
And after dropping your first two games of schedule, Guy came back strong, 3 straight wins. How big was that winning streak to build their confidence and show them that they can compete?
Yeah, winning fixes a lot, right? I think, when guys are down in the dumps, you're losing and, you're not maybe playing your best lacrosse. It's really important to get those wins under your belt to try and rebuild that confidence. I think we've told our guys, look, when you're winning, you're not as good as you think you are, and when you're losing, you're not as bad as you think you are, right? Trying to find that middle ground and get back to, being confident again was good for us to go on that, 3-game win streak and show that we could compete, especially in the cardiac Cardinal way that we did with Holy Family and Lake Erie, right? So.
And leading the way on the defensive side, Landon Martin, he gets the GMAC Defensive Player of the Week award for his efforts. Talk about how he stepped in and kind of stabilized that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I think Landon's just a passionate guy. He really cares about his craft. He works very hard. He's a vocal leader out there, and I think wants the best not only for himself but for his teammates. And so I think him jumping in that position and playing the way he has been good for him and has been good for the defense.
And on the offensive side, we've seen a bunch of young guys contributing. Zach Bridenbaker gets goals. Jack Rowe obviously leading the way. Talk about that offensive side of the ball and how they've evolved.
Yeah, they click really well as a team. When we're on, right? I think there's guys that lean on Jack and look to Jack as a senior and want to listen to him because he is not only a talented player, but he's a leader. He's a captain of that group. And I think we have some young guys that have the talent, but also open their ears more than they open their mouths. They want to learn, they want to listen, they accept the criticism and the coaching parts of it. So it makes coaching down there easier. And when we are clicking and we're doing the little things right, it's a good offense to watch play.
Currently joined by Wheeling University head men's lacrosse coach Gage Bradshaw. And Gage, the GMAC schedule underway, 4 games down, you're 2-2. Talk about the conference early on and what you're seeing within the conference.
It's the GMAC parity, man. Like, you never know, any given Saturday, any team can win, right? Some teams are, jumping on teams early. Other teams are going to OT that you wouldn't expect. It's kind of all over the board, right? And I think for us, as a lacrosse program, we tell our guys all the time, you got to find middle ground. You always got to find a way to get back to center, get back to, being on your feet, being on your toes, and being ready to play because you have no clue. Any given day in this conference, anyone could beat anybody, right? So we don't take any game for granted. We don't take any opponent for granted. We don't play to the title. We play to the team that we see on film, right? So I think just trying to find, a groove for us every game to where, it doesn't matter what we've done in the past against this team or, what the GMAC standings say or what their record says. It's, who are we playing that day, right? And that's what we try and focus on.
And looking ahead to Northwood here on Thursday, talk about Northwood and kind of what they're bringing to the table.
They're a third-year program. They're a talented team. They kind of jumped on the scene last year and caught a lot of people by surprise. Young team, but when you get young programs like that, they just play hard. They play really hard, and they play for each other, and they scrap and fight for every win. They have some great wins under their belt. They lost the first 2 games of the season to top 20 opponents, and then they've been on a 5-game win streak. Beating Rockhurst in OT. Going out there and taking care of business, right? So they're a dangerous team. I think we recognize that, especially on the quick turnaround, how prepped we need to be. But I think that's what good teams do is prep and prepare the best they can. And I think we're ready to play a very good game on Thursday.
And finally, as you guys get ready to close out March and get ready for April, what's your message to your team down the stretch as you guys try to get back to the GMAC tournament?
Stick skills and do the little things, right? We talk about it all the time, the devil's in the details, right? Ground balls, stick work, spacing, IQ. I don't think we're really worried about our effort or our culture. It's really just making sure that we're hitting the small details. Can we, make those easy passes? Can we hit singles, consistently, right? I think everyone wants to swing for the fences and get home runs every time you get at bat. And, I think the single plays get overlooked, right? And singles are really what drives, runs, right? So for us, just trying to hit singles, stay on the straight and narrow, do the things that we need to do to win games and not get too ahead of ourselves.
Thanks, Gage. Good luck this week. Can't wait to see you out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. Thank you.
For Wheeling University Athletics, I'm Zach Ziegler.
And I think it's very important for everybody to be engaged because that everybody's on the same page.
It's about, who's willing to change gears at the right time.
Go out, go have fun, and just take it to them.